Welcome, everyone. Should we get started? I don't know if we have any more joining us today. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started, and whoever comes um, in the next couple minutes can just join us as they come. So we'll wait a couple minutes until we start moving. Anyway, we'll just do a little talking to start. So my name is Rashi. I'm the General Counsel at Vega, but I, in my spare time, also teach yoga. So welcome to a marriage of the two. I will try to be a little bit light on the ethics, so we have a little more time to move and do yoga. Um, I was reading a book and I came across this passage I want to read to you. Um, For years, I subscribed to the notion of an attitude of gratitude. I've since learned that an attitude is an orientation or way of thinking, and that having an attitude doesn't always translate to behavior. And, and so I'm not plagiarizing. This is from Brene Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. It goes on to say, for example, it would be reasonable to say that I have a yoga attitude. The ideals and beliefs that guide my life are very in line with the ideals and beliefs that I associate with yoga. I value mindfulness, breathing, the body, mind, spirit connection. I even have yoga outfits. But let me assure you, my yoga attitude and outfits don't mean jack if you put me on a yoga mat and ask me to stand on my head or strike a pose. As I'm sitting here writing this, I've never practiced yoga. I plan to change that between now and the time you're holding this book in your hand. But to date, I've never put the attitude into action. So, where it really matters on the mat, my yoga attitude doesn't count for much. And I read that to say that it kind of reminds me of ethics. Um, in terms of DC government, yes, we all work here. We all do the perfunctory training to check it off. Every year we do ethics training. If you're an FDS filer, every year you do your filing. And we do all of this, but when you see ethics actually happening in the wild, what do you do? Um, and the obligation of DC government employees is to report, but I just want you to kind of think about what you've seen and what you've heard and what what that means to you, how it affects you, and your obligation to report. I was trying to think of like what other obligations it would be like, and I don't know why it came to me, the old Smokey the Bear. Only you can prevent forest fires. So that's not the case here. Not You're not the only one who can prevent ethics problems from happening. And also, you're not the one who's required to solve it unless you work at Vega. And then maybe you are. But it's not up to you to solve the problem, but it is helpful and we need your help identifying the problem. So, with the attitude versus practice in mind, let's get started. And I will let you know that I forgot my yoga mat today, so I am seated on the lovely carpet of the Berry building. So come to a comfortable, easy seated position in the middle of your mat. If that's cross-legged, that's fine, or on your knees, whatever's comfortable to you. And we'll just start with a few neck rolls. So dropping your head towards one shoulder and then moving counterclockwise down to the other shoulder, around to the back, and back to where you started. Let's do two more that way. All the way around. And a third one. Now, pick your head up, put it on the other shoulder, and now reverse your direction. So if you were going counterclockwise, now go clockwise. And while you rolling your necks, I will get us some music. Coming back into center. And from here, let's just come back to our breath and just connect with your inhale and your exhale, making them even and slow. So long inhale and big exhale. On your next inhale, inhale your hands up overhead to touch. And exhale, drop them back down. Inhale again, up overhead. Exhale, drop that right hand, taking your left arm over to get a side stretch. One big breath here. On your next inhale, bring those hands up into center. And exhale, drop your left hand, bringing your right hand across, anchoring your hips down. See if you can keep your right hip connected to the ground to really get a good stretch. One more big breath here. Inhale your hands back up into center. And on your next exhale, let's take your left hand to the front, right hand behind you for a gentle twist. And then inhale, come back up. Exhale, twist the opposite direction. Left hand behind you, right hand in front. Let's do a few more of these, just moving with your breath at your own pace. Once you're even on both sides, let's come to a tabletop position. And we'll warm up our spine with a few cat-cow stretches. So as you inhale, you're going to push your shoulder blades apart, arching your back like a cat on Halloween. And then as you exhale, you're going to curve your spine looking up. I'm not sure why that's called cow. Doesn't really look like a cow. But inhale to become a scaredy cat. Exhale to become a cow. And just move with your breath here. Coming back into center. We'll stretch out our shoulders. This is called thread the needle. So take your left arm perpendicular to your body, and then you're going to slide it underneath your right armpit all the way until your shoulder reaches the ground. And now you can take your right arm long in front of you, and you'll really feel a pull between your shoulder blades. So you'll be looking right underneath your right armpit. And just breathe into this stretch. Gently find your way back out, back to your tabletop position. We'll drop the left hand and switch sides. Right arm perpendicular, slide it underneath till your right shoulder reaches, and then reach out long with your left hand. And just breathe here. So now you're doing it. You're doing the practice of yoga. On your next inhale, gently pull yourself back to center. And we'll do a quick core warm up. And this is called bird dog. So you'll take your left hand straight in front of you, right leg behind you, and then we're going to lift those up. You're trying to keep your shoulders and your hips square towards the ground. You'll really feel it right here in your core, trying to stabilize all the parts of your body. And then release that. And let's switch sides. Left foot back, right arm in front. Lift on up. and drop. Going back to your left arm and right leg, hold that out. And if you feel your balance is ready, bring your elbow and your knee to meet in a little crunch. Then you can start moving with your breath, inhaling to expand, exhale to crunch. Just do a few of these. And going back to your other side, right arm, left leg. Take a big inhale to expand, exhale to contract. Inhale, expand, exhale to contract. Inhaling out, exhaling in. Coming back into neutral, into your tabletop position. Move your hands about one handprint forward from where they are. And we're going to tuck our toes, lift your hips up into our first downward facing dog of the day. You might want to pedal out your feet, bending your left knee, straightening your right leg, and then switching. See if you can get a full extension through your arms, having your arms as if you were standing up, the position of your arms would be straight over your head. And just see how your legs feel. Look up between your hands and let's gently walk towards the front of your mat. And we'll hang here in a rag doll. So letting your arms be loose, you can bend your arms at the elbows and grasp your elbows and just let your head be heavy, hanging between your arms. You can shake yes and no, releasing any tension of the day. I mean, I guess it's only been half the day so far, but congrats for being here still. When you're ready, release that. And on your next inhale, we're going to sweep our hands up overhead all the way until they touch. And exhale them back down by your sides, mountain pose. Inhale, hands up overhead. Exhale to fold back down to the mat. And on your next inhale, bring your hands to your shins, creating a flat back here, a 90-degree angle. And then melt back into a fold. From here, plant your hands and we'll step back to a plank. And then you have options here. You can lower halfway, all the way, or you can do knees, chest, and chin. And then we'll inhale to up dog. And tuck your toes back to downward facing dog. Hopefully your body's starting to get a little warmer. Look up between your hands, step or hop to the front of your mat. Exhale to fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold again. Inhale, sweeping your hands up all the way overhead to touch. Exhale down by your sides, mountain pose. I'm actually starting to sweat. Inhale, moving your hands back up overhead to touch. Exhale, slowly swan dive back down to the mat. Inhale, hands to shins, flat back. Exhale, plant your hands, stepping back to your plank, lowering halfway, all the way your knees, chest, and chin. Inhale, push yourself away from the mat for your up dog, chest and face up towards the sun or the fluorescent lighting, whatever the case may be. Tuck your toes And back to your downward facing dog. Look up between your hands. Step or hop to the front of your mat. This time, let's keep our toes together, feet together, maybe a little gap between your heels. And we're going to sink our hips down, lifting our arms up into chair pose. Now, this is a good one to wake up your big muscle groups and get your body really warmed up if you're not feeling warmed up yet. 2 more breaths here. And on your next exhale, just fold, wiggle that out. And from here, we'll step back to plank. And you can float through what we had done before, or you can just come right back to downward facing dog. Zip our feet together again. And this time, lift your right heel into the sky behind you. If you'd like, you can bend that knee, open up your hip, take some big juicy hip circles here, back and forward. And when you're ready, square your hips back to the mat. Bend your knee, bring it all the way through between your hands. Spinning your left heel down so your left big toe is facing the top left corner of your mat. I'll come up into your warrior one. Hips and shoulders facing the front of your mat. And then we'll open up to warrior two. Left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. And your right heel is bisecting that foot. Shoulders, these are hips, sorry. Hips, shoulders lined up with the outer edge of your mat. Arms wide and your gaze over your front fingers. Inhale, take the bend out of your leg to give your leg a little break. Come on back down. Inhale, take that bend out again. Bring your arms back down, but keep your legs where they were. Let's toe heel our back foot forward. We'll come into triangle pose. Left hip back, right arm forward until it can't anymore, and tip on over. I'm feeling warm. Hope you guys are enjoying this little. Grab that invisible hook in the sky, pull yourself back up. And from here, cartwheel your hands to frame your right foot. Step back to your plank. And you can float through that vinyasa or go right back to downward facing dog. All right, let's do that other side. Right heel into the sky behind you. You can, of course, bend that knee. Take your circles if you like. And then when you're ready, square those hips. Give that foot a ride up in between your hands. Back foot flat, warrior one. Giving yourself a chance to catch your breath. Making your back foot parallel to the back of the mat. Open up to your warrior two. Inhale, take that bend out of your leg. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, take that bend out. Toe heel your back foot forward. Arms back out. Right hip back. Left arm forward until you can't anymore. And tip on over. Triangle pose. One more breath here. Grab that hook in the sky, pull yourself up. Bring your hands to frame that foot. Step back to your plank. And this time, instead of flowing through your vinyasa, why don't you bring your knees wide to the edge of the mat, big toes to touch. And we're going to sink our heels back and just take a couple luxurious breaths in a child's pose, as you've done some really hard work here already. And from here, find your way back up to a tabletop position. And then we'll just sit on our heels. Gonna bring your legs out in front of you. I'm just gonna do it facing you. You can face whichever direction on your mat, whatever feels good to you. And we'll start with just a regular hamstring stretch. So, sitting with your legs in front of you, make a tall spine and inhale your hands up. Exhale to lean over and reach as far as you can. You don't, there's no place that you have to be. Where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be today. So, if you have your hands on your shins, great. Ankles, feet, if you have them underneath your feet, wherever you are, that's great. Keep a gentle bend in your knees if you need. It's important to keep that tall spine. You're not wanting to curve over your body. Slowly bring yourself back up. Now bring the soles of your feet to touch and bring that in towards you. Maybe 2 or 3 fist distance from your body and come into a butterfly. Now, everybody is different on how high they have their knees. Some people are able to get their knees all the way flat, others not. So don't let anyone tell you that all yoga teachers are flexible because I've got several inches here between my knees and the carpet. Now take your feet and open them like you're opening a book. And this is called cobbler pose. You'll feel a little bit of a different stretch. Releasing that. Sitting with your knees in front of you, we'll come into what's called a figure 4. So take one of your feet, right foot here, taking the ankle and placing it just above my left knee. And what you're doing is stretching out your hip flexor here. If you need more, you can bring your other knee in closer to you. And if you need even more than that, you can back up to the wall and then bring this knee in further. And that'll give you a really deep stretch into your hips. Boy, I hope my carpet's clean. I have no idea in here. Release your right leg. Now let's switch sides. Take your left ankle just above your right knee. Choose your variation and stretch. One of the best things I feel like about yoga is just remembering to breathe. And some days, things that come really easy to you are very, very difficult. And other days, it's the opposite. Some days, you're balancing on one leg and it's no problem. But just honor where you are in your body. Releasing that down. Let's come onto our backs. Do some quick spinal twisting and then let you rest. Bring your knees into your chest, hug them, and we'll just rock back and forth. Now you're going to take your arms out like a T, keeping your legs at a 90-degree angle. Drop your knees to the left and your gaze to the right. If you are able to keep your shoulder blades, both of them on the ground, that's great. And if your knees don't reach the ground, don't worry about it. They don't need to, as long as you feel a twist. I mean, if you feel ripping and tearing, please stop. That's that's not the goal. Come back into center, switch sides, knees to the right, gaze to the left. Rolling back into center. You can take a happy baby here. You reach between your legs to the outside of your feet and open up. If you're home alone, this is a much better pose. I can't imagine another context in my professional life that I've ever done this. I mean, in my attorney life, in the yoga teacher life, of course. And just release everything. Face your palms towards the ceiling. Just let your legs fall where they may. Close your eyes if that's comfortable, and just take a few minutes to rest. Slowly start to bring some movement back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes. Now I want you to take a big stretch, arms up overhead, pointing your toes like a big good morning stretch. And then from there, I want you to crunch yourself up into a little ball. Come onto your side, whichever's comfortable, and gently push yourself up into a seated position. You can keep your eyes closed if you like. Just to finish, I had a bookmark in this book about the one about attitude versus practice. And the bookmark says, "You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf." And I thought that was funny because I forgot my yoga mat today. We're still in the midst of a pandemic. The metro is running at 50% capacity. It took half an hour to go 4 stops. Just be kind to yourself and be kind to one another. You're doing your best, and so are they. So, in that spirit, bring your hands together to heart center. The light in me is the light in you. Namaste.